So Cocaine Bear is, I would say, at first a comedy thriller. Actually, having seen it, it might lean more into horror. It is the
Yeah.
story of a 1983 cocaine heist gone wrong when, following a transferring of drugs across the country via plane, and the plane going down, all of the cocaine is ejected from the plane in duffel bags. This falls into the woods in Chattahoochee, Tennessee. I think I assume that's a fictional forest, maybe not. And some of the cocaine is found by a group of criminals, tourists, teens, cops who all converge on this forest where they ultimately find out that there is one black bear in particular who's ingested some of this exciting drug and is ready to eat everybody in their sight to get more of it. The movie is from Elizabeth Banks, who we formerly know from a variety of features as an actress. This is her first time directing. It is a comedy, is a thriller, also stars Alden Erenreich, Isaiah Whitlock Jr., and Keri Russell. Oh, and Ray Liotta with a late performance, along with a few others. Also worth mentioning in a very small role as Keri Russell's daughter, Dee Dee, is Brooklyn Prince, who I couldn't place. She is the lead actress, child actress in The Florida Project, and she's great in that movie. I wish she'd gotten more time in this because she was very young and does a great job. But here we are. This is Cocaine Bear. Andy, what'd you think?
Well, first off, small correction. Elizabeth Banks has directed several films. She's directed
Has she really?
at least four features. Her last one was the Charlie's Angels remake, which did not go over well. But she's also done.
God, you're right. Yeah.
Pitch Perfect too.
Yes, she has.
So,
yeah, you're right. Pitch Perfect too. Yeah, that's true.
But anyways, I thought this was a lot of fun. It looks like an absurdist comedy, which it is. But there's also no way that the movie could live up to the trailer, because the trailer is kind of like just stupendous, and it's got this incredible title as well. I definitely like the first half of the film when we kind of get our setup, and we have a number of cast of characters. We have the folks looking for cocaine in the forest. We have the bear who ingests it. We have
right.
park ranger and family who's responsible for the park. Then we have this family led by Keri Russell and her daughter, who are kind of the two. Her daughter and friend get lost in the woods. So we got a number of people running around, and this is kind of where the setup is most interesting. And apparently this is very, very, very loosely based on facts. The facts are that cocaine was dumped out of a Cessna plane in the 80s. The plane was crashing, and whoever was on board threw out all the drugs. They also jumped out and died because their parachute didn't open. That part is real. It was discovered that a bear did ingest, a brick of it or whatever. It did not go on a killing spree of any kind, but the imagination took root in this scenario. But like I said, to me, the most fun is in the beginning. We get fun segments with Ray Liotta, Alden Ehrenreich. Character act as Margot Martindale is a lot of fun, as well as this park ranger who takes her job very seriously, has a gun for who knows why. There's also the inept police department trying to collect the drugs and come after everyone as well. So I think the most fun is in the first half.
Yeah, I think the thing this movie does best is create like nuanced characters with interesting silhouettes, right? Like everybody stands on their own 2 feet as a character. Everybody from Alden Ehrenreich, who is this very sad son of a drug dealer who's just lost his love to cancer and is like not feeling good, but now has to go out to the woods to find this stuff, which he does not want to do. And his sidekick, played by O'Shea Jackson Jr., who is just over listening to him cry about this stuff and can't stand it anymore. To Margot Martindale as this park ranger. Yeah. To even like the ambulance drivers who show up halfway through the movie, right? One of which played by Scott Seiss from TikTok, who's surprisingly good in this movie. The problem I have with this is Cocaine Bear kind of ruthlessly murders most of them. And it's not, at least for me, like it wasn't that funny. It was just kind of sad because the movie does such a good job of making these people at least visually and kind of stylistically distinct, that when it just brutally murders one of them, like a bear on cocaine would, It's not funny. I just feel bad. That's what it does for 95 minutes. Like it misses that one thing. Like it's a shame.
Yeah, it's almost more like I said, a horror comedy where the bear is like the slasher and everyone else is the victim. Because there's a lot of pardon the pun, grisly kills that happen
Yeah.
all through, and they're pretty graphic. And it was funny because I was sitting next to an older couple watching the film, and the woman was very much like, "Oh, this is so gross. I don't know why we came to see this." And like her husband was just like, he was loving it. He was absolutely loving all the gratuitous violence. But it's more of a horror comedy than like an action comedy, because it does have a lot of those grotesque horror elements.
Yeah, Elizabeth Banks cited one of her inspirations for this film was Steven Spielberg's Jaws, right? Like the idea of this rampant, angry monster, this animal that's in its own territory, right? Like that would be doing its own thing otherwise, that is intruded upon by outsiders and does what it basically normally do, but plus cocaine, right? Plus a drug that makes you aggravated, and then okay, sure, right, gives you a bunch of energy. I get that. But like I couldn't help when watching this movie but think about like another film that was directly inspired by Steven Spielberg's Jaws that we saw last year, Nope, from Jordan Peele. And like one of those like genuinely leans into like the stylistic Spielbergian trappings of like the inspired voyeurism of seeing something grand and majestic, if only for a moment, right? And trying to capture that in your own way. And the other is like mindless, ridiculous violence for 95 minutes. And out of the two, like Nope manages to thread that needle in such a more interesting and fascinating way than Cocaine Bear. And the box office speaks for itself. I understand it's Jordan Peele's third feature, but for what it's worth, this is also Elizabeth Banks' third feature. And I just couldn't help but feel like this one runs into problems, at least in Act Two, because, like Andy said, the beginning of it works pretty good. It's got to set up these characters, right? You've got your drug dealers, you got the son of the drug dealer who's heading out there to figure out his thing. You got the mom who's looking for her daughter who just went out to the woods so she could paint a picture of the waterfall right at noon because she's an artist. You got some tourists that are out there, the hapless park ranger who doesn't know what's going on, the wildlife expert, the cops that show up who are looking for the drug dealers. Like all of that creates like this, it's a mad, 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 mad world, or like Rat Race-esque like cast of characters who all come into the woods and are perfect cannon fodder for the bear. But like by Act Two, your cast is starting to dwindle, and the gag is kind of exactly what it was going to be from the trailer. And what it should have carried it through was like the comedy trappings, right? Like that's what worked about a feature like Violent Night starring David Harbour. Of course, the gag is in the trailer, but then you go see it and the script is so tight that you're like, oh man, this is actually really good and gives our cast a lot to work with. And unfortunately, writer Jimmy Warden does not bring that to Cocaine Bear. Previously, he did The Babysitter on Netflix, and that's about all he's done. And it ends up being a pretty weak script, I think, and that really does hurt it. It's just not that funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it what that's a great comparison to Violent Night, where you have to build up and you have to have a great climax with something like this. And I feel like that kind of happens at the midpoint. Like, and I find this happens with a lot of movies actually, where the midpoint's the most exciting part and the climax is a bit of a letdown. That kind of happens here, where it doesn't really know where to go after a lot of the initial exciting, funny, brutal moments. It just, you got this weird plot with Keri Russell trying to find her kids that goes on a little bit too long. You got the cops running into the drug dealers and having a little bit of a standoff. And then you got the bear there at points. It kind of doesn't know what to do after about the first hour. Luckily, it's not super long, but that's where it needed a better finish. Like, it doesn't stick the landing.
No, unfortunately not. It's not all bad though. I think quality performances are here. Alden Ehrenreich is so funny, dude. Like in his first scene when he's like
Yeah.
crying at the bar eating penne pasta, and he got a tattoo with his girlfriend's name on it. It's spelled wrong. Like he manages to elevate what's like kind of just a lame role into something like genuinely funny, and he keeps it running throughout. Like God, that kid needs more work. Keri Russell as the mom is really good. Ray Liotta, and as far as I know, is his final performance. God, they must have shot this like weeks before he passed. Like he's He's not like Harrison Ford sitting the whole time. Like he's up and moving in this movie. He's like moving around in the woods with a gun. Like he's got roles. O'Shea Jackson's funny. Isaiah Whitlock's funny. I think the performances here are pretty good. At least like those few big ones. Otherwise, like they're fine on the back end. Most everybody else is pretty much just cannon fodder for the bear, right? Like you don't need them to do a whole lot.
Right, exactly. This is where it's cool that there's a lot of people, and it's almost like there's a lot of good sketches set up, but it doesn't kind of create a good overarching narrative. And it's a shame because we do have great characters, like you said, Alden Ehrenreich. He's given this movie way more of a performance than it deserves. Same thing with Ray Liotta. I think he did film a couple of other movies before he passed. Imagine if that was your final movie, was Cocaine Bear.
Let me look. Hold on. I got IMDb up. Let me check.
He's got.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, he's got 3 films coming out. Wow. How does he have 3 more movies? That's insane. Oh my god. When did he pass? Okay, so 2022. Okay, so he passed last year. I keep thinking he passed like pre-pandemic, and I'm like, how could he have more work coming down the pipeline? That's crazy.
Yeah. So you have a fun cast of characters. Like I said, that's probably the most memorable part. But unfortunately, most of them get killed off pretty early, and then you don't have a lot of interesting people or situations kind of by the end. It's one of those things like they didn't really know how to wrap it up, but they're just like, just get it done because the bear is mauling people or what people are here to see.
Right. It definitely winds back on like it's a simple thing. And I keep seeing people say, like the best reviews I think I've seen of Cocaine Bear are people saying Elizabeth Banks knows what this movie is and it sticks the landing. And I'm like, I didn't really feel that way. For a 95-minute feature, it felt a little long. The pacing's all over the place, like leading to like, what I think is probably the worst offender. In the third act, there's a flashback to minutes before to an event that we should have seen on screen, but inexplicably didn't. Characters talk about something that they saw, and then it flashes back to what would have been literally minutes ago. That's something we should have just seen with them, but we like. It's just weird. Like the climax ends up feeling like I don't know, like a reshoot or something. Like it starts strong and it's just kind of peters out and runs out of gas. But I think by the time you get to Act 3, but again, it's a really simple gag, right? Isn't that what it's supposed to be? What did I think Cocaine Bear was going to be? And I'm not sure, but. For a VFX bear, I suppose you could do worse. One other thing I wanted to mention: this film's set in 1983. It does not feel like it's set in 1983. They try with like the outfits,
the clothes,
and the technology, but like it feels like it was shot 3 weeks ago. Like I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's like their lens choice or what, but it just does not feel like an old movie. It doesn't feel like it's set in the past at all.
Right. I think that might have to do with the fact that it's in the forest. You don't really have any 80s settings like a mall or something like that. So I think that's probably got a lot to do with it. But I agree. It could kind of be in any time period.
Yeah, like it could have been set yesterday and we're fine. All the characters could have been like, "Oh, we're out in the woods and our phones don't work," and it would have been the same movie. Like it would not have made a difference. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Anyway, I think that's about all I got to say on Cocaine Bear. Any other thoughts before recommendations, Andy?
I think I'm ready.
Andy, would you recommend Cocaine Bear?
I would to people that are, if you're really interested in it and want to just hang out and chill out, relax at the theater for an afternoon, I think it's a lot of fun. If you're a little iffy on it, maybe a little skeptical, save it for streaming. Like I said, it's a tight 90 minutes. It's not too long. It's got a good first half and then it kind of peters out, but we do get a lot of fun moments and fun characters along the way.
I think I might skip this one, honestly. If it's on streaming and need something to watch, go for it. It's kind of funny. It just did not hit it for me. Did not tap my funny bone like I thought it might. I've been really inspired by Violent Night in a way, like in the low budget gimmick comedy since, because I was pleased with how well that one did. I thought this was going to be of that caliber, and it's not. It's really simple. Like it is exactly what it says on the tin. Cocaine Bear, baby. Wait for it to come to streaming and then tell us what you think. And if you want to tell us what you think, the best way to do that is